My dear brother, my dear sister, before you do anything else, before you scroll, before you tell yourself, I'll watch this later, please stay with me for just a moment. Because if you leave now, you may walk away still confused about something Allah is doing inside your heart. Let me ask you something gently. Have you noticed that the things that once made you feel peaceful no longer work the same way? You still have them. Nothing is missing. Yet something inside you feels unsettled. And you keep asking yourself quietly, what changed? Why don't I feel the same anymore? Why does my heart feel tired even when life looks fine? Listen carefully. This video is not for everyone. It is only for the person who feels that Allah has been slowly disconnecting them from a version of life they once loved. And if that sentence touched something inside you, then I need you to stay until the end. Because what you are experiencing is not random and it is not weakness. It is one of the most misunderstood signs of divine guidance. Before we go further, pause for a second. I want you to answer this honestly. Inside your heart, what country are you watching from right now? And what time is it where you are? Because Allah knows exactly where you are and exactly why you are hearing this at this moment. This message found you because your heart has been asking questions you've been too tired to explain. And here's the part many people never realize. When Allah is about to move you into a new chapter of your life, He does not always change your circumstances first. It changes your peace. He makes all things feel heavy. He makes familiar places feel uncomfortable. He makes distractions stop working. And if you don't understand why, you may fight the very process that is meant to protect you. Some people leave videos like this early and continue blaming themselves. They think they are broken, ungrateful, lost. But those who stay until the end realize something life-changing, that Allah removes peace only from what is no longer safe for your soul. And tonight, I will explain exactly how this happens, why it feels painful, and what Allah is preparing you for next. But I will not rush it, because this message is not meant to be consumed quickly. It is meant to be felt slowly. By the end of this video, you will understand why you feel distant from old joys, why your heart refuses to settle, why silence has become louder than noise, and why this phase is not punishment, but divine positioning. So don't skip, don't multitask, don't leave, sit with me. Because if Allah brought you here, He wants you to understand something before you move forward. And understanding this may change the way you see your entire life. Let us begin. When all things lose peace, it's proof Allah is reclaiming your heart. There is a moment in life that no one warns you about. A moment when nothing looks wrong from the outside, but everything feels different on the inside. You wake up the same way. You move through the same routine. You speak to the same people. You sit in the same places. Yet your heart does not sit the same anymore. You try to enjoy what you used to enjoy, but something inside you stays quiet. You try to feel excited the way you once did, but the excitement does not rise. You try to relax the way you used to, but your heart refuses to settle. And slowly, very slowly, a question begins to repeat inside you. What happened to me? You don't say it out loud. You don't complain. You don't even understand it yourself. But deep inside, you feel it. Something that once brought peace now brings heaviness. Something that once made you feel safe now makes you feel restless. Something that once filled your heart now leaves it empty. And that confusion can be frightening because you start blaming yourself. You tell yourself, maybe I've changed too much. Maybe I'm ungrateful. Maybe something is wrong with my heart. Listen to me gently. Nothing is wrong with your heart. Your heart is not broken. Your heart is not cold. Your heart is not failing. Your heart is being guided. There are times when Allah guides us loudly through events, through people, through sudden changes. And there are times when Allah guides us silently by touching the heart itself. This is one of those times. Allah has a way of pulling His servants closer without frightening them. He does not always remove things immediately. He does not always change the outside first. Sometimes He changes the taste of things. The same people are there, but the connection feels weaker. The same places exist, but the peace disappears. The same habits continue, but the heart feels tired of them. And you don't even know when it started. You just know that something is no longer right. That is not coincidence. That is mercy. There was a time when those things served you. They helped you survive. They helped you cope. They helped you breathe during a difficult phase. Allah allowed them into your life for a reason. But Allah never allows anything to stay longer than it should, because Allah knows something we forget. A heart that stays too comfortable stops growing. So when Allah wants to grow you, He does not always push you. Sometimes He removes the comfort so you stand up on your own. That is what you are feeling now. The comfort is gone. The attachment is fading. The excitement has weakened. And you are left sitting with yourself. This is not abandonment. This is Allah saying, it is time. Time to return. Time to realign. Time to stop leaning on what cannot carry you forward. Allah is gentle. If He removed everything suddenly, you would panic. If He cut attachments sharply, you would feel pain. So He does something far kinder. He removes the peace first, so that when you finally let go, you don't feel like you are losing something. You feel like you are being relieved. That is why you feel tired of forcing yourself to care. That is why you feel exhausted pretending that something still matters. That is why your heart no longer responds the way it used to. Because Allah is reclaiming space inside you. The heart is not meant to hold everything forever. Some things are meant to pass through. Some attachments are meant to expire. Some comforts are meant to be temporary. And when their time ends, Allah does not destroy them. He simply loosens your grip. You may notice that you no longer miss certain things the way you once did. You may notice that conversations feel repetitive. You may notice that your heart pulls away without anger, without drama, without noise. That quiet pulling away is guidance. Allah is not pushing you away from life. He is pulling you closer to meaning, closer to stillness, closer to reflection, closer to Him. Sometimes Allah wants to speak to your heart, but your heart is too busy listening to everything else. So He lowers the volume of the world. And when the noise fades, you finally hear the whisper. That whisper you feel late at night. That heaviness that comes when you try to go back to who you used to be. That feeling that says, I can't live like this anymore. That is not sadness. That is awakening. Allah is gently saying, this heart was made for more than this. You are not losing interest in life. You are losing interest in distractions. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming aware. You are not empty. You are being prepared. And preparation often feels uncomfortable, because before Allah fills a heart, He empties it. Before Allah elevates a soul, He separates it from what cannot rise with it. Before Allah draws you closer, He creates distance between you and what would keep you far. That is why this change feels strange. You didn't ask for it. You didn't plan it. It simply arrived because Allah knew you were ready, even if you didn't know it yet. So be gentle with yourself. Do not accuse your heart. Do not force feelings that no longer exist. Do not chase peace where Allah has already removed it. Let the heart soften. Let the attachment fade. Let the silence speak. Because when Allah reclaims a heart, He does not leave it empty. He fills it with clarity. He fills it with calm. He fills it with a peace that does not depend on people, places, or phases of life. This feeling you are in right now is not the end of something beautiful. It is the beginning of something deeper, and you will understand it soon. Not all at once, not loudly, but gently, the way Allah always works. There is a moment in life that no one warns you about. A moment when nothing looks wrong from the outside, but everything feels different on the inside. You wake up the same way. You move through the same routine. You speak to the same people. You sit in the same places. Yet your heart does not sit the same anymore. You try to enjoy what you used to enjoy, but something inside you stays quiet. You try to feel excited the way you once did, but the excitement does not rise. You try to relax the way you used to, but your heart refuses to settle. And slowly, very slowly, a question begins to repeat inside you. What happened to me? You don't say it out loud. You don't complain. You don't even understand it yourself. But deep inside you feel it. Something that once brought peace now brings heaviness. Something that once made you feel safe now makes you feel restless. Something that once filled your heart now leaves it empty. And that confusion can be frightening because you start blaming yourself. You tell yourself, maybe I've changed too much. Maybe I'm ungrateful. Maybe something is wrong with my heart. Listen to me gently. Nothing is wrong with your heart. Your heart is not broken. Your heart is not cold. Your heart is not failing. Your heart is being guided. There are times when Allah guides us loudly through events, through people, through sudden changes. And there are times when Allah guides us silently by touching the heart itself. This is one of those times. Allah has a way of pulling His servants closer without frightening them. He does not always remove things immediately. He does not always change the outside first. Sometimes He changes the taste of things. The same people are there, but the connection feels weaker. The same places exist, but the peace disappears. The same habits continue, but the heart feels tired of them. And you don't even know when it started. You just know that something is no longer right. That is not coincidence. That is mercy. There was a time when those things served you. They helped you survive. They helped you cope. They helped you breathe during a difficult phase. Allah allowed them into your life for a reason. But Allah never allows anything to stay longer than it should, because Allah knows something we forget. A heart that stays too comfortable stops growing. So when Allah wants to grow you, He does not always push you. Sometimes He removes the comfort so you stand up on your own. That is what you are feeling now. The comfort is gone. The attachment is fading. The excitement has weakened. And you are left sitting with yourself. This is not abandonment. This is Allah saying, it is time to return, time to realign, time to stop leaning on what cannot carry you forward. Allah is gentle. If He removed everything suddenly, you would panic. If He cut attachments sharply, you would feel pain. So He does something far kinder. He removes the peace first, so that when you finally let go, you don't feel like you are losing something. You feel like you are being relieved. That is why you feel tired of forcing yourself to care. That is why you feel exhausted pretending that something still matters. That is why your heart no longer responds the way it used to. Because Allah is reclaiming space inside you. The heart is not meant to hold everything forever. Some things are meant to pass through. Some attachments are meant to expire. Some comforts are meant to be temporary. And when their time ends, Allah does not destroy them. He simply loosens your grip. You may notice that you no longer miss certain things the way you once did. You may notice that conversations feel repetitive. You may notice that your heart pulls away without anger, without drama, without noise. That quiet pulling away is guidance. Allah is not pushing you away from life. He is pulling you closer to meaning, closer to stillness, closer to reflection, closer to Him. Sometimes Allah wants to speak to your heart, but your heart is too busy listening to everything else. So He lowers the volume of the world, and when the noise fades, you finally hear the whisper. That whisper you feel late at night, that heaviness that comes when you try to go back to who you used to be, that feeling that says, I can't live like this anymore. That is not sadness, that is awakening. Allah is gently saying, this heart was made for more than this. You are not losing interest in life. You are losing interest in distractions. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming aware. You are not empty. You are being prepared. And preparation often feels uncomfortable because before Allah fills a heart, He empties it. Before Allah elevates a soul, He separates it from what cannot rise with it. Before Allah draws you closer, He creates distance between you and what would keep you far. That is why this change feels strange. You didn't ask for it. You didn't plan it. It simply arrived because Allah knew you were ready, even if you didn't know it yet. So be gentle with yourself. Do not accuse your heart. Do not force feelings that no longer exist. Do not chase peace where Allah has already removed it. Let the heart soften. Let the attachment fade. Let the silence speak. Because when Allah reclaims a heart, He does not leave it empty. He fills it with clarity. He fills it with calm. He fills it with a peace that does not depend on people, places, or phases of life. This feeling you are in right now is not the end of something beautiful. It is the beginning of something deeper. And you will understand it soon. Not all at once, not loudly, but gently, the way Allah always works. Allah removes the sweetness before He removes the thing. Allah is gentle. This is something we say often, but we do not always understand what it truly means. Allah does not rush the heart. Allah does not tear attachment suddenly. Allah does not shock the soul without warning. When Allah knows something must leave your life, He does not always remove it immediately. First, He removes the sweetness. You may not notice it at first. You still go there. You still do the same things. You still try to feel what you used to feel, but the joy does not rise. The smile feels forced. The excitement feels fake. The comfort feels thin. And this is where confusion begins. You start telling yourself, maybe I'm tired. Maybe I've changed. Maybe I'm just overthinking. But deep inside, your heart knows something is different. Allah has touched the taste of that thing. It still looks the same. It still exists. But it no longer satisfies. This is one of the greatest mercies of Allah. Because if Allah removed something suddenly, the pain would be sharp. Your heart would resist. Your soul would protest. You would question Allah. So Allah does something kinder. He allows the thing to stay, but He removes what made it powerful over your heart. The sweetness. That sweetness was never permanent. It was permission from Allah. And when that permission is lifted, the heart feels it immediately. You begin to feel tired of trying. You begin to feel bored with what once excited you. You begin to feel restless in places where you once felt calm. And you don't know why. This is Allah preparing your heart to let go without breaking. There was a time when that thing helped you. It distracted you from pain. It made life feel lighter. It gave you something to hold on to. Allah allowed that for a reason. But Allah never allows a temporary support to become a permanent home, because your heart was not created to settle there. So when the time comes to move, Allah weakens the attachment first. Not because you are weak, but because He knows how attached hearts can be. Have you noticed how hard it feels to let go of something that still feels good? But how easy it becomes to walk away from something that no longer brings peace? That is not coincidence. That is Allah easing your path. You may feel like you are losing interest, but in reality, Allah is loosening your grip, and He does it slowly. So slowly that you don't even argue. One day you wake up and realize, I don't care as much anymore. Not with anger, not with sadness, just with calm. And that calm is guidance. Because Allah does not want you to leave with resentment. He wants you to leave with understanding. Sometimes Allah knows that if He does not remove the sweetness, you will stay somewhere too long. You will keep hoping it changes. You will keep forcing your heart. You will keep telling yourself, maybe tomorrow it will feel right again. So Allah gently answers that hope by removing the feeling you are chasing. So you stop chasing. This is why forcing yourself never works. You try to recreate the old feeling, but it refuses to come back, because Allah does not bring back what has already served its purpose. When Allah removes the sweetness, He is protecting you from attachment turning into addiction, because attachment that overstays eventually turns into pain. Allah loves you too much to let that happen. So He dries the source first, not to punish you, but to save you. You may feel disappointed at first. You may feel confused. You may feel like something inside you is missing. But listen carefully. That missing feeling is not because Allah took something away. It is because Allah is making space. Space for clarity. Space for growth. Space for a peace that does not depend on temporary things. And this is why this phase feels quiet. There is no drama, no explosion, no obvious ending, just a slow fading. And fading is easier on the heart than sudden loss. Allah knows the weight your heart can carry, so He removes the weight gradually. This is mercy disguised as emptiness. You may even notice that you stopped defending that thing before you made excuses for it, before you justified it, before you ignored its effects on you. Now you see clearly, and clarity is the final stage before release. When Allah removes sweetness, He also removes blindness. You begin to notice how tired you were, how drained you felt, how much effort it took to stay attached. And you ask yourself, how did I not see this before? You didn't see it before because Allah hadn't shown it yet. Now He is showing you gently, patiently, because He wants your heart free, not broken. And this freedom is the beginning of something new, something calmer, something cleaner, something closer to Allah. Let us go even deeper, because this phase where Allah removes the sweetness is one of the most misunderstood moments in a believer's life. When the sweetness fades, you may feel an urge to bring it back. You tell yourself, let me try harder. Let me give it more time. Let me fix what feels broken. But no matter how much effort you make, the feeling does not return. That is because sweetness is not created by effort. It is placed by Allah. And when Allah lifts it, no amount of forcing can replace it. This is why your heart feels tired when you try. You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. Your heart is responding honestly to what Allah has already decided. Many people suffer because they think this phase means they are losing something important. But listen carefully. If something truly belonged in your future, Allah would have increased its sweetness, not removed it. When Allah wants you to stay, He makes the heart comfortable. When Allah wants you to move, He makes the heart restless. This is how He guides without breaking. There is also another mercy hidden here. When Allah removes the sweetness first, He protects you from emotional collapse later. Imagine if Allah took something away suddenly, while your heart was still deeply attached. The pain would be unbearable. So Allah loosens the attachment slowly, day by day, feeling by feeling, until one day you realize that letting go does not hurt the way you feared. You don't feel destroyed. You don't feel empty in a painful way. You feel calm. That calm is Allah carrying you through the exit. Sometimes Allah allows the sweetness to fade because the thing itself has changed, or because you have changed, or because it was never meant to go further with you. Allah sees the future you cannot see. He sees how staying attached would damage you later. He sees how forcing it would delay your growth. So He intervenes early, not loudly, but through feeling. This is also why people around you may not understand. They see the same situation, they see the same people, they see the same life, but they don't feel what you feel, because Allah is not dealing with them. He is dealing with your heart. Guidance is personal. Allah tailors it for each soul. So do not let anyone tell you you're overthinking, you're being dramatic, you're changing for no reason. Your heart knows. Allah is speaking to you in a language only your heart understands. Another thing happens during this phase. You stop romanticizing the past. Before, you remembered only the good moments. You ignored the heaviness. You ignored the effort it took to keep things going. Now, Allah allows you to see the full picture. You remember how tired you felt, how often you forced yourself, how much peace you sacrificed, not to make you bitter, but to make you free, because freedom begins with truth. And truth makes release easy. This is also why Allah removes sweetness before removing people, places, or situations. Because once the sweetness is gone, the attachment loses its power. You can walk away without hatred, without anger, without regret. You can say, thank you for what you gave me, but I am not meant to stay. That is a dignified ending. That is Allah protecting your heart's honor. And sometimes Allah does not even remove the thing itself. He simply removes your dependence on it. So it stays in your life, but it no longer controls your emotions. You can take it or leave it. You are no longer desperate for it. That emotional independence is a form of healing. And healing is never loud. It is quiet. It is slow. It is subtle. One day you wake up and realize you no longer chase what no longer chases you. You no longer beg for feelings that have left. You no longer mourn what feels complete. And in that moment, you understand something very important. Allah did not take something away to punish you. He removed sweetness to save you from becoming attached to something that could never truly satisfy you. Because real sweetness comes from Allah. And when Allah wants you closer, He removes the taste of everything else so that nothing competes with Him. That is why after this phase, you often find yourself drawn to prayer differently. Not out of fear, not out of habit, but because your heart is thirsty and it finally remembers where its water comes from. This phase is not the end. It is a bridge from dependence to trust, from attachment to freedom, from distraction to remembrance. So walk across it gently. Do not rush. Do not panic. Do not turn back. Allah is walking you towards something better, something your heart will recognize the moment it arrives. And when it does, you will look back and say, now I understand why the sweetness had to leave, because Allah was preparing you for a sweetness that does not fade. Your heart is not broken. It has outgrown its old shelter. There is a moment in life when you start to feel like you no longer fit where you once belonged. You don't argue. You don't complain. You don't even know how to explain it. You just feel different. The place that once felt safe now feels tight. The conversations that once flowed now feel forced. The life you once accepted now feels heavy on your chest. And you begin to wonder quietly, what happened to me? Why do I feel like this? Why can't I be comfortable like before? Let me tell you something gently. Your heart is not broken. Your heart has grown. Growth is silent. It does not announce itself. It does not ask permission. One day you simply wake up and realize that your soul needs more space. This is where many people misunderstand themselves. They think growth means happiness all the time. But growth often begins with discomfort. Because when something grows, it pushes against the walls that once held it. And suddenly, What used to protect you now limits you. Allah designs the heart in seasons. There was a time when your heart needed shelter. It needed safety. It needed familiarity. It needed something to lean on. Allah provided that. But Allah never intended that shelter to become your forever home, because the heart that stays small cannot carry what Allah plans to give it next. So Allah expands the heart, not by adding more things, but by making the old space feel small. That is what you are feeling now. It is not rejection. It is not failure. It is promotion. But promotion does not always feel good at first. When Allah grows your heart, He also sharpens your awareness. You begin to notice what drains you. You begin to feel when something is not sincere. You begin to sense when you are forcing yourself to belong. Before, you ignored these feelings. Before, you pushed through. Before, you told yourself, this is normal. Now, your heart refuses. Not out of arrogance, not out of pride, out of clarity. Allah is teaching your heart to stop shrinking itself, to fit places it has outgrown. This is why you may feel misunderstood. People around you still see the old version of you. They expect you to react the same way, to accept the same treatment, to tolerate the same situations. But your heart cannot pretend anymore. It does not respond the same way. And when you don't respond the same way, people get confused. They may say, you've changed. You're not the same. You're acting different. They are right. You are different. But different does not mean wrong. It means Allah has touched your heart. Growth separates before it unites. Before Allah elevates you, He often isolates you emotionally, because the version of you that is emerging cannot be shaped by the same environment that shaped the old you. So Allah gently creates distance, not always physical distance. Sometimes emotional distance. You can be in the same room and feel far away. You can be surrounded by people and feel alone. That loneliness is not abandonment. It is transformation. Your heart is shedding layers. Layers of tolerance. Layers of people pleasing. Layers of survival. And shedding always feels uncomfortable. There is also grief in growth. Grief for who you used to be. Grief for the simplicity of the past. Grief for the comfort of being unaware. You may miss the version of you that accepted less and didn't feel this heaviness. But that version of you could not carry what Allah is preparing to give you. So Allah is building capacity, and capacity requires space. That is why your heart feels tight. When you try to go back, you try to enjoy old routines, but they suffocate you. You try to laugh the same way, but it feels shallow. You try to live the same life, but something inside resists. That resistance is not rebellion. It is your soul protecting itself. Allah is teaching your heart to honor its growth. You are no longer meant to explain yourself to everyone. You are no longer meant to stay where you feel unseen. You are no longer meant to silence your discomfort. This phase teaches you boundaries without teaching you bitterness. You pull away quietly. You detach gently. You choose silence over arguments, because growth does not need noise. It needs patience, and Allah is patient. He does not rush this process. He allows you to feel the discomfort so you learn from it, so you understand why you cannot stay small anymore. So when you finally move forward, you do not look back with regret. You move forward with understanding. This is the stage where Allah reshapes your heart's standards. What you accept, what you tolerate, what you allow close, not to make you harsh, but to make you honest. Because a heart that grows closer to Allah cannot keep lying to itself. And this honesty can feel heavy, but it is freeing. You are not losing people. You are losing versions of yourself that needed them. You are not leaving places. You are leaving comfort zones. that kept you from expanding. And Allah is watching this process closely. Every silent struggle, every quiet tear, every moment you feel out of place, none of it is wasted. Allah does not grow hearts without purpose. And this growth, though uncomfortable now, will make sense later. Very soon, let us stay with this feeling a little longer, because this stage of growth is one of the most sensitive moments of your journey. When the heart outgrows its old shelter, it often feels lonely first. Not because you are truly alone, but because you no longer feel understood the way you once did. You sit among people, yet you feel distant. You listen to conversations, yet they don't reach you. You smile, yet something inside remains quiet. And this silence can scare you. You may ask yourself, why do I feel disconnected? Why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere anymore? Listen gently. This feeling is not loss, it is transition. Your heart is between who you were and who you are becoming. And in between, there is always discomfort. Allah does not grow hearts suddenly. He stretches them. And stretching always feels tight before it feels free. You may feel like your patience is being tested. You may feel more sensitive than before. Things that never bothered you now touch you deeply. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness. Allah is teaching your heart to feel truthfully. Before, you ignored small wounds. You told yourself to be strong. You stayed quiet to keep peace. Now your heart refuses to bleed silently. Not because you are dramatic, but because Allah is teaching you self-respect. You are no longer meant to stay in places that cost you your inner peace. And that realization changes everything. This is why you may feel tired of explaining yourself. You realize that some people will never understand the version of you Allah is shaping. And that is okay. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into the next chapter. Some people are only meant to meet the old you. Growth creates distance because not everyone grows at the same time. And Allah knows this. That is why He allows separation before elevation. It prepares you quietly. Away from noise, away from pressure, away from expectations. This phase often brings a lot of self-questioning. You may ask, am I being selfish? Am I becoming too serious? Am I changing for the worse? But ask yourself honestly, did staying the same bring you peace? Did tolerating everything protect your heart? Did shrinking yourself make you closer to Allah? If the answer is no, then this change is necessary. Allah is not turning you into someone cold. He is turning you into someone clear. Clear about what drains you. Clear about what nourishes you. Clear about what brings you closer to Him and what pulls you away. This clarity can feel heavy because it removes illusions. You can no longer pretend everything is fine. You can no longer romanticize what hurt you. You can no longer stay comfortable in discomfort. And that honesty is painful at first, but it is also freeing, because once you see clearly, you stop blaming yourself. You realize, I wasn't weak, I wasn't difficult, I was simply outgrowing my environment. Allah does not allow growth without purpose. He is shaping your heart to carry more wisdom, more patience, more sincerity. But a heart cannot carry more if it stays crowded with the past. So Allah creates space, and space feels empty at first. You may grieve what you are leaving behind. The old comfort, the old version of yourself, the simplicity of not knowing better. Grief is part of growth. Even positive change comes with loss. And Allah allows you to feel that grief so you heal properly. He does not rush you through it. He sits with you in it. That is why during this phase, you may feel closer to Allah, even without many words. You may find comfort in silence. You may feel calm during moments of reflection. You may feel your heart soften in prayer. because your heart is finding its true shelter again. Not in people, not in places, not in routines, but in Allah. And slowly, very slowly, you will notice a shift. What once felt lonely will start to feel peaceful. What once felt empty will start to feel open. What once felt confusing will start to make sense. You will realize that Allah did not take something away from you. He removed what was too small to make room for something greater. And when the new arrives, it will fit. It will not suffocate you. It will not drain you. It will not require you to shrink. It will feel natural. It will feel honest. It will feel calm because it will meet the heart you have become. So be patient with this stage. Do not rush it. Do not judge yourself in it. Do not try to go back. Allah is expanding your heart for a reason. And when this growth is complete, you will look back at this phase with gratitude. Not because it was easy, but because it made you who you needed to be. And Allah, who began this change in you, will never abandon you in the middle of it. He is closer than ever, and He is guiding you gently, step by step, heart by heart. Restlessness is a sign Allah is redirecting you. There is a kind of feeling that does not let you rest. You lie down, but your mind stays awake. You sit in silence, but your heart feels unsettled. You try to distract yourself, but the feeling follows you. You cannot fully explain it to anyone because nothing is clearly wrong. Life looks normal. People are the same. Everything seems fine. Yet inside, there is movement, akiyat, restlessness. And this restlessness confuses you. You may think, why can't I relax anymore? Why do I feel uneasy for no reason? Why do I feel like something is pulling me, but I don't know where? Listen to me gently. This feeling is not anxiety. It is not failure. It is not weakness. It is redirection. When Allah wants to move a heart, He does not always change the road immediately. He changes the feeling of standing still, because if the heart remains comfortable, it will never move. So Allah introduces restlessness, not to disturb you, but to wake you. This is why the restlessness feels different from normal stress. Stress makes you afraid. This restlessness makes you thoughtful. Stress makes you panic. This restlessness makes you reflect. You feel unsettled, but not hopeless. You feel uneasy, but not empty. That is because Allah is speaking to your heart without words. For a long time, you may have stayed where you were because it was familiar, not because it was right, but because it was known. Allah allowed that for a season. But now, your heart is ready to move. So Allah begins to loosen the ground beneath your feet. The place that once felt steady now feels uncomfortable. The routine that once felt safe now feels heavy. The life that once felt acceptable now feels misaligned. And suddenly, you can no longer ignore the feeling. You may try to quiet it. You tell yourself, be patient, be grateful, don't complain. But the feeling remains. Because this restlessness is not complaining. It is calling. Allah is calling your heart forward. You see, Allah does not drag hearts harshly. He leads them gently. And this gentle leading often feels like inner discomfort, because your soul knows it is meant for something more aligned, something more honest, something closer to Allah. This is why the restlessness often grows stronger when you try to stay where you are. You force yourself to be content, but your heart resists. You try to convince yourself that everything is fine, but something inside whispers, this is not where you belong anymore. That whisper is not imagination, it is guidance. Allah is teaching your heart to stop settling for what is familiar and start listening to what is true. This phase can be exhausting because you are in between. You haven't moved yet, but you cannot stay. You haven't left, but you are no longer comfortable. This in-between space is one of the hardest places to sit, because clarity has started, but the destination is not yet clear. And Allah allows this because clarity without patience leads to rushed decisions. So Allah slows you down. He makes you sit with the discomfort until you are ready to move wisely. This restlessness also strips away illusions. You begin to notice things you ignored before. You notice how tired you feel after certain interactions. You notice how drained you feel after certain routines. You notice how your heart tightens when you try to go back to who you were. These are not random observations. They are signs. Allah is sharpening your awareness. He is teaching your heart to recognize misalignment, because a heart that is aware cannot be easily misled. This is also why this phase feels lonely. Not because Allah has left you, but because He has reduced noise around you. So you can hear yourself, so you can hear Him. Allah often isolates the heart emotionally before redirecting the life physically. Because if the heart is not ready, movement will only bring confusion. So Allah prepares the inside first. You may feel distant from people even while standing next to them. You may feel uninterested in conversations that once excited you. You may feel drawn to silence more than noise. This is not depression. This is refinement. Allah is fine-tuning your soul. He is removing excess weight. He is loosening attachments that would make the journey harder. This restlessness is also protective. If Allah allowed you to stay comfortable, you might remain somewhere that would slowly drain your spirit. So Allah creates discomfort before damage occurs. This is mercy, even if it does not feel like it at first. Because sometimes Allah saves us by making us uncomfortable early rather than broken later. This is why your heart refuses to settle. It knows this is not the end of your journey. And deep down, you know it too. Even if you cannot explain it yet, this phase requires patience. Not the patience of waiting idly, but the patience of listening deeply. Allah is not asking you to rush. He is asking you to pay attention to the feeling, to the restlessness, to the discomfort. Because hidden inside it is direction. And Allah will reveal the next step when your heart is ready to receive it. Not sooner, not later, at the perfect time. And until then, this restlessness will stay. Not to torment you, but to prepare you. Let us remain gentle here, because this restlessness you are feeling is fragile, and if misunderstood, it can become heavy. But if understood, it becomes light. When Allah redirects a heart, He often removes the feeling of settling. You notice it most when you try to relax. You sit down, hoping for calm, but your chest feels tight. You tell yourself, nothing is wrong, yet your heart refuses to agree. That refusal is not stubbornness, it is awareness. Your soul has begun to sense that where you are standing is no longer aligned with where you are meant to grow. This is why you feel uneasy even in comfort. Comfort without alignment feels like suffocation. Before you didn't notice it. Before you accepted it. Before you adjusted yourself to fit. Now Allah is teaching your heart a new language. The language of truth. And truth does not shout. It presses quietly. This restlessness also brings clarity in an unusual way. You start asking deeper questions. Not about others, but about yourself. You ask, why do I feel empty here? Why does this drain me now? Why does my heart resist what used to satisfy me? These questions are not doubt, they are awakening. Allah is slowly pulling the veil away from your heart, allowing you to see what you once ignored. You begin to see patterns. You begin to feel what costs you peace. You begin to understand why certain doors must close. And sometimes this understanding hurts because you realize you stayed too long. You realize you ignored your heart. You realize you survived instead of lived. Allah allows this realization not to shame you, but to free you. Because once you see clearly, you stop blaming yourself. You stop forcing yourself to stay. You stop questioning your worth. You realize the restlessness is not inside you. It is between you and where you are standing. This is why moving does not always mean physical movement. Sometimes it is emotional movement. Sometimes it is spiritual movement. Sometimes it is internal surrender. Allah moves hearts before He moves lives. This is also why this phase feels quiet. No big signs, no loud instructions, just a constant inner pull. Allah is training your heart to listen inward so that later when He opens a door, you walk through it with certainty, not confusion. This restlessness also humbles you. You realize how dependent you are on Allah for peace. You realize that without His permission, even the most comfortable place feels empty. And that realization draws you closer to Him. You find yourself turning inward more often. You may not say many words in prayer, but your heart leans toward Allah. You may not have clear answers, but you have sincerity. This is how Allah rebuilds trust. Not through understanding everything, but through feeling held even while unsettled. Sometimes you may wish Allah would just tell you what to do, but Allah is teaching you something deeper. He is teaching you to feel your way toward Him, to trust that if something no longer brings peace, it is not meant to stay. To trust that if your heart is restless, it is being invited forward. To trust that Allah does not disturb hearts without purpose. There will be moments when this restlessness intensifies, especially when you try to ignore it, especially when you try to force yourself back into old patterns. Your heart tightens, your patience shortens, your peace disappears faster. This is not punishment, it is redirection becoming firmer, because Allah knows when softness is no longer enough. But even then, He is gentle. He does not abandon you in this phase. He walks with you through it. And one day, without warning, something shifts. The restlessness softens, not because you found all the answers, but because you accepted the direction. You stop resisting the feeling. You stop fighting the discomfort. You stop demanding clarity before movement. And in that acceptance, peace begins to return. A different kind of peace. Not the peace of settling, but the peace of trusting. You realize that Allah was not unsettling you to harm you. He was preparing you to move with dignity, without regret, without bitterness, without fear. This is how Allah saves hearts. Not by force, but by inner movement. So if your heart feels restless today, do not numb it. Do not silence it. Do not shame it. Sit with it. Ask Allah softly, show me what my heart is trying to leave and where you want it to go. And trust this, Allah never redirects a heart without preparing a place for it to land. Never. He is too merciful for that. Your restlessness is not the end. It is the beginning of alignment. And when alignment comes, the peace that returns will feel like home, because it will not come from settling. It will come from walking. Exactly where Allah is guiding you, Allah removes peace from what would distract you from Him. There is a moment in life when something changes inside your heart and you don't even realize it at first. You keep doing what you used to do. You keep walking the same paths. You keep surrounding yourself with the same things. But the peace is gone. Not completely, not dramatically, just enough that you notice. You feel restless after things that once made you feel relaxed. You feel empty after moments that once felt fulfilling. You feel tired after interactions that once felt light. And you ask yourself quietly, why does this feel different now? Why does this drain me? Why do I feel further from peace the more I stay here? Listen to me gently. This is not random. This is Allah protecting you. Sometimes Allah does not remove people. Sometimes He does not remove places. Sometimes He does not remove situations. Instead, He removes peace from them, because peace is permission. And when Allah withdraws permission, the heart feels it immediately. This is one of the strongest signs of divine protection, because Allah knows something you may not want to admit yet, that if He allowed peace to stay, you might stay too. You might grow attached. You might grow comfortable. You might grow distant from Him. So Allah steps in quietly. He does not expose. He does not humiliate. He does not shame. He simply removes the calm. And when the calm leaves, your heart begins to question. This is not punishment. Punishment breaks the heart. Protection awakens it. There are things in life that are not haram, but they are not helpful. There are attachments that are not evil, but they are distracting. There are routines that are not wrong, but they are heavy. And Allah, in His mercy, does not allow His servant to be slowly drained. So He creates discomfort, not loud discomfort. Quiet discomfort, the kind that makes you think, the kind that makes you pause, the kind that makes you reflect. You may notice that after certain things, your heart feels far from Allah. You may notice that after certain interactions, your desire to pray weakens. You may notice that after certain habits, your soul feels tired instead of refreshed. These are not accidents. Allah is teaching you discernment. He is showing you what pulls you away from Him without needing to forbid it loudly. Because Allah does not want obedience from fear alone. He wants obedience from clarity. And clarity begins when peace disappears. You see, peace is not just a feeling. Peace is alignment. When something aligns with your soul's purpose, peace flows. When something pulls you away from Allah, peace slowly drains. And Allah allows you to feel that drain so you do not destroy yourself unknowingly. This is why you may feel confused at this stage. You tell yourself, but this isn't wrong. But others are fine with this. But I used to enjoy this. And that is true. But Allah is not dealing with others. He is dealing with you. Your heart has been chosen for refinement. Allah does not guide everyone the same way. Some hearts are allowed to wander longer. Some hearts are corrected gently. Some hearts are held tightly. When Allah loves a servant deeply, He does not let their heart drift far. So He removes peace early, before damage, before regret, before loss. This is mercy disguised as discomfort. And yes, it can hurt, because you feel like something you once leaned on is no longer supporting you. But understand this, Allah never removes peace from something unless it is standing between you and a greater peace. Sometimes Allah knows that if you keep enjoying something, you will never question it. So He removes enjoyment so that awareness can enter. You may notice now that your heart feels heavy after things that once felt light. You may feel guilty enjoying certain moments, not because they are sinful, but because your soul feels misaligned. This guilt is not condemnation, it is guidance. Allah is softening your heart so it responds to subtle signs. This is also why distractions stop working. You try to escape the discomfort, but the discomfort follows you. You scroll, but your heart stays empty. You laugh, but something inside remains quiet. You stay busy, but peace does not return, because Allah is protecting you from numbing yourself. He wants you awake. He wants you present. He wants you aware, because awareness leads to return. Sometimes Allah protects you by making sin unattractive. Sometimes He protects you by making distractions boring. Sometimes He protects you by making attachment exhausting. And this protection can feel confusing because it does not look like protection. It feels like loss, but it is not loss. It is Allah standing between you and something that would slowly drain your soul. There are moments when Allah removes peace, not because something is bad in itself, but because you are meant for more sincerity, more presence, more depth, more closeness to Him. Your heart cannot carry that while holding on to things that keep it shallow. So Allah intervenes quietly, lovingly, firmly. This is why forcing yourself does not work anymore. You try to enjoy what you used to enjoy, but your heart refuses. You try to go back to old habits, but something inside resists. That resistance is protection. Allah is guarding your heart, even when you don't understand why. And one day you will, but not yet. For now, this phase is about trust. Trusting that Allah knows what He is doing, even when it feels uncomfortable. Trusting that loss of peace is sometimes gain of guidance. Trusting that Allah does not block your heart without preparing something better. This discomfort you feel is not meant to push you into fear. It is meant to pull you into awareness. And awareness is the first step toward return. But return takes time. And Allah is patient. So He allows the discomfort to linger until you are ready to listen, ready to detach, ready to realign, ready to let go of what no longer serves your soul. This is not a punishment phase. This is a protection phase. And protection always feels uncomfortable before it feels safe. Let us slow down even more here, because this protection Allah is placing around your heart is subtle, and if you rush past it, you may misunderstand it. When Allah removes peace from something, He is not saying you are bad for enjoying this. He is saying this is no longer safe for your heart. There is a difference. Allah does not shame His servants. He shields them, and shielding often feels like restriction at first. You may feel frustrated because you don't understand why your heart reacts the way it does now. You say to yourself, other people do this and feel fine. Others enjoy this and seem happy. Why am I different? Listen carefully. Allah does not measure hearts the same way. Some hearts are allowed to wander longer because they are still learning through experience. Other hearts are protected early because Allah sees how deeply they feel, how strongly they attach, how easily they lose themselves. Allah knows your heart. He knows how quickly you would sink if peace was allowed to stay in the wrong place. So He intervenes, not loudly, not harshly. He simply removes the comfort, and suddenly you feel it. You feel uneasy where others feel relaxed. You feel heavy where others feel light. You feel distant where others feel attached. This does not mean you are weak. It means your heart is sensitive to alignment. Allah is training your heart to recognize what nourishes it and what poisons it slowly. There are poisons that kill quickly, and Allah protects us from those easily. But there are poisons that kill slowly, through distraction, through emotional attachment, through forgetfulness of Allah. And these poisons are dangerous because they feel harmless. So Allah removes peace before damage occurs. That is mercy. You may also notice that during this phase, your heart becomes more honest with itself. You can no longer lie and say, I'm fine, when you're not. You can no longer pretend something is good for you when it drains you. This honesty can feel uncomfortable because it forces you to face things you ignored. You may realize how much time you spent away from Allah, how often you chose ease over growth, how long you stayed where your soul was shrinking. Allah does not reveal this to punish you. He reveals it to free you. Because once you see clearly, you can no longer remain trapped. This is also why this phase often brings guilt. Not the guilt of sin, but the guilt of distance. You feel sad when you realize how far your heart drifted. You feel regret for moments you wasted. And that regret softens the heart. A softened heart is easier to guide. Allah loves a soft heart. So He allows this feeling to stay long enough to teach you, but not long enough to destroy you. Another thing happens during this protection phase. You begin to crave sincerity. Noise irritates you. Pretending exhausts you. Surface level things bore you. You don't want more entertainment. You want peace. And peace no longer comes from the world. It comes in quiet moments, in stillness, in remembrance, in sitting alone with Allah. This is not coincidence. Allah is redirecting your source of comfort. Before, comfort came from people, routines, distractions. Now, Allah is teaching your heart to find comfort in Him. This is a difficult transition because relying on Allah feels unfamiliar at first. You don't see Him the way you see people. You don't hear Him the way you hear noise. So the heart feels unsure, but Allah is patient. He allows the discomfort to linger until the heart learns where to turn. You may also notice that when you ignore this protection, the discomfort increases. When you force yourself to stay attached, peace disappears faster. When you return to what Allah is blocking, your heart feels heavier. This is not anger from Allah. This is insistence. Allah is saying, I am not letting this hurt you, even if you don't understand yet, even if you resist. Allah's protection does not depend on your understanding. It depends on His knowledge. And Allah sees what you cannot see. He sees how this attachment would end. He sees how this distraction would weaken you. He sees how staying would cost you your connection with Him. So He removes peace now, so you don't lose yourself later. There will come a moment, not now, but later, when you will look back and realize how close you were to harm. You will realize how gently Allah stepped in. You will realize how many times He blocked your heart before the world could break it. And you will feel gratitude, not for the discomfort, but for the protection. Because Allah protected you in a way that preserved your dignity. He didn't embarrass you. He didn't expose you. He didn't let you fall publicly. He corrected you privately, through feeling, through unease, through loss of peace. That is love. True love does not always feel soft. Sometimes it feels firm, but it is always merciful. So if your heart feels blocked from something today, do not push harder. Pause. Ask Allah gently, what are you protecting me from? And trust that He is not blocking joy. He is blocking harm. And what He is preparing for you will feel lighter, cleaner, and closer to Him. This phase will pass. And when it does, you will not miss what you were protected from. You will only be thankful that Allah loved your heart enough to remove peace. Before it was too late. When distractions stop working, your soul is awakening. There comes a moment when the world stops exciting you, not because life is over, not because you are sad, not because you are ungrateful, but because something inside you has changed. You try to enjoy the same things. You try to laugh the same way. You try to distract yourself like before, but it doesn't work. The noise feels loud. The entertainment feels empty. The conversations feel repetitive. And inside you feel strangely quiet. You may even feel numb. And this scares you. You ask yourself, why don't I feel joy anymore? Why don't these things move me? Why do I feel distant from everything? Listen to me gently. This is not depression. This is awakening. Before, distractions worked because your soul was asleep. It accepted surface level comfort. It tolerated noise. It survived on stimulation. Allah allowed that for a time. But when the soul begins to wake up, it no longer responds to cheap comfort. It wants truth. It wants depth. It wants meaning. And when it doesn't find meaning, it grows quiet. That quietness is not emptiness. It is attention. Your soul is no longer scattered. It is pulling inward. Allah is teaching your heart to stop running and start listening. This phase often feels lonely because the world around you keeps moving, but your heart has slowed down. People laugh, people chase, people distract themselves, and you watch quietly. You don't judge them, you just don't feel the same pull anymore. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing is wrong. Allah is removing excess noise from your heart. You see, distraction is not always sin. Sometimes distraction is simply distance. Distance from Allah, distance from purpose, distance from your own soul. And Allah, in His mercy, does not let distance grow forever. So He allows distractions to lose their effect. The things that once made you forget your pain, now remind you of it. The things that once made time pass quickly, now feel slow and meaningless. This is not Allah taking joy away. This is Allah changing the source of joy. Because joy that depends on distraction never lasts. Allah wants to give you joy that comes from alignment. But alignment requires awareness. And awareness begins when distractions stop working. This phase can feel very heavy because you are left with yourself. No escape, no hiding, no numbing, just you and your thoughts and your heart. And that can be uncomfortable because you start feeling things you ignored before. You feel sadness you buried. You feel questions you avoided. You feel longing you silenced. Allah allows this not to overwhelm you, but to heal you. Because healing cannot begin while the heart is constantly distracted. So Allah slows everything down. He makes noise irritating. He makes scrolling boring. He makes surface level pleasure feel hollow. So you finally sit still, and in stillness, truth rises. You may notice that during this phase, you crave silence more than sound. You want fewer words, fewer people, fewer expectations. This is not isolation. This is simplification. Allah is decluttering your inner world, removing what is unnecessary, so what is essential can breathe. This is also why emotions may feel muted. You don't feel extreme happiness. You don't feel extreme sadness. You just feel calm but not peaceful yet. That in-between feeling is the soul resetting. Just like the body needs rest after exhaustion, the soul needs stillness after distraction. Allah is giving your soul rest, but the rest feels strange. When you are used to constant stimulation, you may miss the excitement. You may miss the rush. You may even miss the chaos. But chaos is not peace. And Allah is teaching your heart the difference. This phase teaches you something important. That constant excitement is not happiness. That noise is not fulfillment. That being entertained is not being alive. You begin to see life differently. You no longer chase every feeling. You no longer react to every sound. You observe. You reflect. You pause. And this pause is sacred. Because it is here that Allah begins to speak to your heart without interruption. You may feel drawn to pray differently now. Not because someone reminded you, not because you fear punishment, but because your heart is quiet enough to feel the need. You may not even know what to say, but you sit, and sitting itself becomes worship. This is not a loss of joy. This is a shift of joy from the outside to the inside, from stimulation to sincerity, from distraction to awareness. This phase can feel long because Allah does not rush awakening. He allows you to sit in the quiet until you stop fearing it, until you stop trying to escape it, until you realize that the quiet is not empty. It is full of clarity, full of truth, full of Allah's presence. And this is only the beginning. Let us stay with this quiet a little longer, because this silence you are feeling is not accidental and it is not empty. When distractions stop working, Allah is not taking something away from you. He is taking you away from something. Away from noise that kept you busy but never fulfilled you. Away from movement that exhausted you but never healed you. Away from excitement that entertained you but never grounded you. For a long time, your heart was running. Running from pain, running from questions, running from stillness. And Allah allowed that running for a season because you needed it then. But now your heart is tired, not physically tired, spiritually tired. And when the soul is tired, Allah does not push it harder. He slows it down. That is why you feel less interested in everything. It is not because life has lost meaning. It is because Allah is teaching your heart where meaning truly lives. This phase can feel confusing because it does not come with sadness the way people expect. You are not crying all the time. You are not breaking down. You are not hopeless. You are simply quiet. And quiet feels uncomfortable in a world that celebrates noise. People around you may think you are distant. They may think you are bored. They may think you have lost passion. But what they don't see is that your soul is listening. Listening to questions it ignored before. Listening to truths it avoided. Listening to Allah's gentle pull. When distractions fall away, you are left with sincerity. And sincerity is heavy at first because you can no longer hide from yourself. You start noticing what really matters to you, what truly hurts you, what genuinely fulfills you. And many of the things you chased before do not survive this honesty. They fade, not because they were evil, but because they were shallow. Your soul has gone deeper. This is why this phase often comes with a sense of emotional distance from the world. You still care, you still love, but you don't cling. You don't chase validation the same way. You don't crave attention the same way. You don't seek constant approval. And that can feel strange because for a long time those things gave you a sense of worth. Now, Allah is teaching your heart to find worth elsewhere, in character, in sincerity, in closeness to Him. This is also why your reactions change. Things that once triggered you now pass quietly. Things that once excited you now barely move you. You may wonder, am I becoming cold? No, you are becoming rooted. Coldness is numbness. Rootedness is calm. A rooted heart is not easily shaken, not easily impressed, not easily distracted. And Allah grows roots in silence. This is also a phase where you may feel disconnected from time. Days pass quickly, yet nothing feels rushed. Moments feel slow, yet meaningful. This is because your soul is no longer chasing stimulation. It is absorbing presence. You are learning to be present without being entertained. And that is a powerful shift because presence brings awareness and awareness brings choice. You are no longer living on autopilot. You are no longer doing things just because you always did them. You pause, you question, you feel. This pause is sacred. Many people never reach this stage because they are afraid of stillness. They keep themselves busy to avoid facing their hearts. Allah has trusted you with stillness. That is an honor, even if it doesn't feel like one yet. During this phase, you may also feel drawn to simplicity. You want fewer things, fewer conversations, fewer commitments. This is not withdrawal. It is purification. Allah is simplifying your inner world so it can hold something greater. Because a cluttered heart cannot carry depth. This is also why your connection with Allah may feel different. Not louder, not dramatic, but steadier. You may not feel emotional highs in prayer, but you feel honesty. You sit with Allah, not to feel something, but because you want to be near Him. And that is real worship. Sometimes you may fear that joy will never return, that life will always feel this quiet. Listen to me carefully. Joy is not gone. It is being redefined. Allah is removing joy that depended on distraction, so He can give you joy that survives silence. Joy that does not disappear when the noise stops. Joy that does not depend on people staying. Joy that does not require constant stimulation. This joy grows slowly, like roots, invisible at first, but strong. You may not notice it now, but one day you will wake up and realize that your heart feels stable. Not excited, not dramatic, just steady. And steady is powerful. This is the kind of joy that carries you through storms. This is the kind of peace that does not panic when life shifts. This is the kind of calm that knows where it belongs. Allah is building this inside you now, quietly, patiently, lovingly. So if distractions no longer move you, do not mourn them. They were tools, not destinations. And you have reached the point where you no longer need the tool. You are ready for the truth, ready for depth, ready for a quieter, stronger, more grounded version of yourself. Allah is not emptying your heart. He is making it clear. And clarity is the doorway to purpose. This phase will not last forever, but what it builds inside you will. So sit with the quiet, trust the numbness, honor the stillness, because Allah is doing something beautiful in you, even if it does not look beautiful yet. And one day, when life becomes loud again, you will carry a calm inside you that the noise cannot steal. That calm will be your proof that Allah woke your soul before the world could exhaust it. Allah empties the heart before He fills it. There is a moment in life when the heart feels empty in a way you have never felt before. Not the kind of emptiness that comes from loss, not the kind that comes from heartbreak, but a quiet emptiness. A space inside you that feels wide, silent, and unfinished. And you don't know what to do with it. You try to fill it the way you used to. You distract yourself. You keep busy. You surround yourself with noise. But the space remains. And this emptiness frightens you because you are not used to feeling unfinished. You ask yourself, why do I feel hollow? Why does nothing fill me anymore? Why does my heart feel like it is waiting for something but I don't know what? Listen to me gently. This emptiness is not a problem. It is preparation. Allah does not leave hearts empty without purpose. When Allah empties a heart, it is because He intends to place something inside it. But before something sacred can enter, everything unnecessary must leave. And removal always feels uncomfortable. There was a time when your heart was crowded. Crowded with expectations, crowded with attachments, crowded with distractions, crowded with versions of yourself that were only meant to survive, not last. Allah allowed that crowding for a season because at that time you needed to survive. But now survival is no longer enough. Your heart is ready to receive, and reception requires space. So Allah begins to empty you, not violently, not suddenly, gently, quietly, layer by layer, attachment by attachment. You may notice that you no longer crave certain things. You may notice that you feel indifferent to what once felt essential. You may notice that your heart feels lighter, yet strangely incomplete. This is because Allah is clearing room. Room for clarity, room for sincerity, room for a deeper connection with Him. But before the filling comes, there is a pause. And this pause feels uncomfortable because human hearts fear emptiness. We rush to fill silence. We rush to fill loneliness. We rush to fill uncertainty. But Allah asks you to sit here just for a while, to not fill the space too quickly, because what Allah is preparing cannot enter a crowded heart. This emptiness is not abandonment, it is invitation. Allah is inviting you to trust Him with space, to trust Him with waiting, to trust Him with not knowing yet. This is one of the hardest forms of trust because it requires surrender without explanation. You may feel like you are floating, not anchored to the past, not connected to the future, used, suspended. This feeling is frightening because control is gone. But control was never meant to belong to you. Allah is teaching your heart how to rest without holding on. This phase strips away false sources of fulfillment. You realize how much you depended on people to feel whole, how much you depended on routine to feel safe, how much you depended on distraction to feel alive. And when Allah removes these supports, you feel exposed. But exposure is not harm, it is honesty. Allah is showing you the truth of your heart, that it was never meant to be filled by the world, that it was always meant to be filled by Him. But before He fills it, He must empty it of everything else. This is why this phase often feels slow. Time stretches, days feel longer, moments feel heavier, because Allah is teaching patience at a depth you have never experienced before. Not patience of action, but patience of being. Being without answers, being without certainty, being without immediate relief. This patience purifies the heart. It removes entitlement, it removes rushing, it removes expectation. It teaches the heart humility. And Allah loves a humble heart, because a humble heart receives easily. You may also notice that during this emptiness, your heart becomes softer. You feel emotion more deeply. You feel empathy more strongly. You feel pain more honestly. This softness is not weakness. It is readiness. A hard heart cannot receive light. A soft heart absorbs it. Allah is softening you so that what He places inside you will remain. This emptiness is also where dua changes. You no longer ask for specific things. You ask for understanding. You ask for guidance. You ask for closeness. Sometimes you don't even ask. You just sit, and sitting becomes worship, because waiting with Allah is a form of trust. This phase can make you feel like life is on pause. Others move forward, others progress, others seem to know what they want, and you are still waiting, still unsure, still empty. But do not confuse stillness with stagnation. Seeds grow in darkness, roots spread in silence. Allah is working where no one can see, including you. You may feel like nothing is happening, but everything is happening. Allah is rewiring your heart's expectations. He is teaching you that fulfillment does not come quickly, that peace is not rushed, that depth requires patience. This emptiness also protects you, because while your heart is empty, it is not vulnerable to false fulfillment. You are less likely to attach impulsively, less likely to settle for less likely to chase what cannot last. Allah is teaching your heart discernment, so that when the filling comes, you recognize it. You do not grab blindly, you choose wisely. This phase also humbles desire. You no longer want everything. You want what is real. And what is real takes time. Allah is not testing you here. He is preparing you. Testing breaks, preparation builds. And Allah is building something inside you that will not collapse under pressure. But building takes time, and time feels long when the heart is empty. That is why this phase feels heavy, but heaviness does not mean harm. Sometimes heaviness means depth, and Allah is taking you deeper than you have ever been before. Peace was never in things, it was always in Allah. After everything you have felt, after all the changes inside your heart, after the loss of peace in old things, after the restlessness, after the emptiness, after the quiet awakening, there comes a moment of realization, not loud, not dramatic, not sudden, but soft, a realization that settles gently in the heart and stays. You realize that peace was never truly in the things you lost, not in the people, not in the places, not in the routines, not in the phases of life you miss. Those things carried peace only because Allah allowed them to. And when Allah lifted that permission, the peace left with it. That understanding changes everything. You stop blaming yourself for not feeling the same. You stop trying to revive what has already ended. You stop asking, why doesn't this make me happy anymore? Because you finally understand. Peace was never owned by those things. It was always borrowed from Allah. And when the owner takes it back, nothing else can replace it. This realization does not make you sad. It makes you calm. Because calm comes from truth. You begin to see your entire journey differently. The loss was not loss. The discomfort was not punishment. The emptiness was not abandonment. It was guidance. Allah was not taking things away to hurt you. He was removing distractions so you could finally see Him clearly. You see now why the old life could not continue, why the old attachments had to weaken, why the old excitement had to fade. Because if peace remained there, you would have stayed there. And staying there would have kept you distant from Allah. Allah loved you too much to let that happen. This is where surrender deepens. Not surrender from fear, surrender from understanding. You no longer fight Allah's decisions. You no longer beg for what left. You no longer resist change. You begin to say quietly in your heart, if Allah removed it, it was never mine. That sentence alone brings peace because it frees you from chasing what was never meant to stay. This is also the phase where comparison disappears. You stop looking at others and wondering why they still enjoy things you don't, why they feel settled where you feel restless, why they are comfortable where you are not. Because you understand something important now. Allah does not guide everyone the same way. Some hearts are allowed to remain attached longer. Some hearts are held tightly. Some hearts are purified early. Allah chose your heart for closeness, and closeness always comes with refinement. This realization removes jealousy. It removes resentment. It replaces them with acceptance. You stop asking, why me? And you begin to say, thank you for not leaving me blind. You see now that peace does not come from control. It comes from trust. Trust that Allah knows where peace truly belongs. Trust that Allah removes what cannot sustain you. Trust that Allah never takes without replacing. But replacement does not always look the way we imagine. Sometimes Allah replaces noise with silence. Sometimes He replaces excitement with stability. Sometimes He replaces attachment with trust. And sometimes He replaces the world with Himself. This is the deepest replacement of all. You begin to feel peace in simple moments. Not because life became perfect, but because your heart stopped resisting reality. You feel peace when you stop chasing. Peace when you stop forcing. Peace when you stop pretending. You feel peace when you sit quietly and accept where you are without trying to escape it. That peace feels different from the old peace. Old peace was fragile. It depended on conditions. New peace is steady. It exists even when things are uncertain. This is the peace Allah gives. And Allah's peace does not shake easily. This is also the phase where your relationship with Allah matures. You no longer treat Him like an emergency contact. You treat Him like home. You no longer turn to Him only when you are broken. You turn to Him because you belong. Your do-a become kalme. You don't beg desperately. You speak gently. Sometimes you don't even speak. You just sit in awareness that Allah is near. That awareness itself brings peace. You begin to understand why Allah brought you here slowly, why He did not rush the healing, why He allowed the discomfort to last. Because quick peace fades, deep peace remains. Allah was building something inside you that would not collapse. When life changes again, and life will change again, but you will not fall apart the way you used to, because now you know where peace comes from. You also begin to forgive yourself for staying too long, for missing signs, for forcing attachments, for not understanding earlier. You forgive yourself because Allah forgave you first. Allah guided you instead of abandoning you. That alone is proof of love. You also stop fearing the future, not because you know what will happen, but because you trust who controls it. Peace no longer depends on certainty. It depends on reliance. And reliance is freedom. This is the quiet strength Allah gives His servants after long refinement. Not loud confidence, not arrogance, but grounded certainty. A certainty that says, whatever comes, Allah will carry me. And that certainty is priceless. This is where your journey leads. Not to perfection, not to a problem-free life, but to a heart that knows where to return when everything else fades. And that return is the greatest peace of all. If you are still here, I want you to know something very important. You did not stay until the end by accident. Your heart stayed because it recognized truth. Everything you've been feeling lately, the emptiness, the restlessness, the loss of peace in old things, it was never a sign that you were broken. It was proof that Allah was working quietly inside you. You were not losing direction. You were being redirected. You were not being punished. You were being protected. And you were never forgotten. Allah does not remove peace unless He is guiding you somewhere. Peace cannot be taken away from. So if tonight your heart feels softer, calmer, more understood, that is Allah letting you rest after a long inner journey. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to force the next step. All you need is trust. Trust that what left was not meant to stay. Trust that what feels empty is being prepared. Trust that Allah never brings you this far to abandon you. And if this message felt like it was written just for you, I want you to do one small thing, not for me, but for yourself. In the comments, write just one word. I trust Allah. Not as a performance, not for others to see, but as a quiet agreement between your heart and your Lord. And if you know someone who has been feeling distant, confused, or silently tired inside, share this with them. Not because they need another video, but because they need reassurance that Allah is still guiding them even through silence. May Allah replace what you lost with something better than you imagined. May He give your heart a peace that does not depend on people or phases. And may He always guide you back to Him. No matter how far you wander, you are not late, you are not lost, and you are not alone. Until next time, stay gentle with your heart. Allah is closer than you think.